Good evening. I'm Assistant Chief Meteorologist Victoria Cavaliere. I'm joining you right now on our website and also on Facebook to give you an update about the very heavy rain that we are seeing across parts of Knox and Anderson counties. Right now there is a flash flood warning in effect for portions of those areas until 1:30 in the morning, and the National Weather Service has actually updated it to include what we call a considerable tag. It's kind of an extra piece of data that they've included to indicate that there could be some big-time flooding concerns tonight. So let's dive right into what we're seeing, and if you do have any questions or reports, feel free to comment those on our Facebook page under this video. I'm going to be checking it periodically, and of course all those reports also go to the Weather Service. I want to start off with this camera. It has been so active tonight. This is our Embassy Suites camera in downtown Knoxville. We have seen tons and tons of lightning. These storms are really electrified. They've had a lot of frequent lightning associated with them, and that's why we're also dealing with some power outages all across East Tennessee. Let's talk about where the flash flood warning is. So this blinking green box here, that indicates the warning. It does include places like Edgemoor, also Oak Ridge, Claxton. Clinton is kind of getting clipped by that warning there as well, Amherst and Powell. Based on what I can see so far, our biggest impact has been in the Powell community and also there near Claxton and kind of approaching the Clinton area as well. I want to show you Storm Tracker 6 radar because what's been so interesting is that even though I talked about the chance for storms earlier tonight, this is not the main line of storms. We had this thunderstorm bubble up into portions of Knox and Anderson County, and it has just barely moved. Notice how much of East Tennessee is not seeing any heavy rain right now, but where they are, it is torrential. Again, that box indicating for you where the flash flood warning currently is. We also have some very heavy rain in downtown Knoxville, even extending into portions near Mount Olive and getting kind of closer to Johnson University on the outskirts there, but those areas are not officially under the flash flood warning. It's for that part of Anderson and Knox counties that I showed you earlier. Let's talk about rainfall totals. Of course, what the Weather Service was watching was how fast the rain was coming down. That gives them an idea of whether or not flash flooding is going to be a concern. Now, flash flooding is different from regular flooding because it comes on very, very suddenly. That's the concern with flash flooding, is that you may not notice it. Your road may be okay, and then you check back 10 minutes later and it's flooded. Some of these rainfall totals over the past 3 hours exceed 3 inches of rainfall. Almost 3 inches there near Washington Heights. This is coming up at about 3.4 inches of rain near Claxton Elementary, 2.3 inches there near Edgemoor, and over 3 inches of rain back near Amherst Elementary as well. This is just another product we use. It talks about rainfall per hour. Look at this yellow and orange color. From Laurel all the way down into Claxton and Amherst, that indicates some really, really heavy rain has fallen. And because that rain has fallen in such a short amount of time, it's got nowhere to go right now. So if you do have to be out and about tonight and you're headed this way or you live that way, you need to take this threat seriously. Do not drive through flooded roadways. We say it all the time. Turn around, don't drown. There is an added layer of concern here tonight because it's happening during the evening hours. Tonight, it's dark outside. It's so hard to tell just how much water is on some of those roadways. And I want to remind you, just 6 inches of water can float a person, and about 12 inches of water can float most vehicles. So certainly something we're going to be keeping our eyes on. Let's talk about power outages. We've seen these numbers continue to go up. When I last updated you at 11 p.m. on air, the number for Knox County was about 6,000 customers. Now it's gone up to about 7,500 customers without power in Knox County. Most of them seem to be centered around the Powell area. Also about 400 customers without power there in Anderson County. This is going to be a huge concern tonight because of all the lightning that we've seen. Plus, on top of it, these storms have been producing some gusty winds at times. So you may be without power tonight. That's why it's important that you've got multiple ways to receive your weather alerts, because we are not out of the woods just yet. While we're watching this kind of cell that's been sitting over Knox and Anderson counties, there is still a front to talk about tonight. So let's kind of expand the picture here a little bit to show you what's going on into portions of southeast Kentucky. They've got some severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, generally, these storms have been moving more easterly. So the front hasn't really dropped down yet into portions of East Tennessee, but I'm going to be watching these cells in Kentucky because what's expected to happen is that some of that moisture clips our East Tennessee counties overnight tonight. Our overall risk for severe weather continues to technically be on the lower end, a level 1 out of 5, as that front moves through. Notice the Storm Prediction Center still has us all shaded in green here. Biggest concerns are obviously going to be some very heavy rain and also the threat for wind damage. Our tornado risk overall is low, as is our threat for hail, but it does seem like we may have gotten a few reports of some very small-sized hail earlier this evening. Of course, if you do have any reports, you can always send those our way. We pass that information on to the National Weather Service, and that is really, really helpful to them. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about a flash flood warning and also the potential for some storms tonight. I want to kind of switch over here to the radar and also just check in with you guys to see what people are reporting and also look at what the Weather Service has been saying. Hold on here. Dun, dun, dun. We are going to continue to be watching, especially Emery Road, we're keeping our eyes on. We actually sent one of our reporters, Wes Cooper, to that location in Emery Road, kind of near the Powell area. And we are seeing the potential that that road may actually be getting closed due to flooding. The Weather Service reporting that. I'm going to see if we can have any of our news team kind of confirm that for me here as well. So we will double check that for you guys as well. Give me 1 second here so I can pass that information along to them. And we will, of course, confirm with you whether or not that is true. Hold on. Thank you guys for bearing with me there. And we are watching what they're saying there. So again, this is a really extreme flooding situation because what's interesting is that this thunderstorm kind of developed on its own, and the big problem is that it's not been moving. So it's been sitting over the same area. Claxton, Clinton, Dossett, they've been seeing such heavy rainfall. Let me kind of show you what's happened over the past three hours and then even over the past 15 minutes. We'll loop it first from the past 15 minutes. Look at the radar. I mean, it's barely moved, this heavy, heavy rainfall. And we've been dealing with this sort of issue for even more than that. So if we loop it over the past hour, again, torrential rainfall over Powell, Claxton, Clinton, near Laurel, and that is going to continue to be a concern. We've even seen some what we call back building, which is essentially that we've gotten some more activity back here near the Frost area. Overall, the storm's not moving much, but if it were to move, it would be drifting southeast, and so it would put it right in the path of the locations that have already seen some heavy rainfall. Let's check in here with the Weather Service to see what they are talking about here. And let's also check in with some of you to see if you guys have any reports as well about what you guys are seeing. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a flash flood warning for portions of Knox and Anderson counties, parts of those locations, as we continue to see very, very heavy rainfall. A lot of you just talking about how much lightning you guys have been seeing. The lightning has been excessive. Now, based on this frame right here, this is calculating 98 lightning strikes. It's been really, really bright lightning. And of course, that is part of the problem with our power outages that we are going to continue to track as we go into the overnight hours tonight. Remember, this is not even the main front. So we do still have the chance for some more rain and storms overnight. Let's switch our radar sites here so that you guys can see what's going on into portions of Kentucky. I mean, torrential rainfall there as well. They've got several severe thunderstorm warnings out right now. This is Wayne County, Kentucky, so it's starting to approach Whitley and McCreary counties. The one thing to note, though, about this area is that so far, these storms have been moving a little more easterly, which is interesting because we're kind of expecting it to drop a little more southeast, but the general motion so far has been more easterly. Still that threat for some severe storms tonight, but of course at this point our main concern is going to be torrential rainfall and flooding, and then maybe some gusty to damaging winds. But again, if you joined us earlier this evening when I was talking about the threat for storms overnight, the storm that we've got right now in Knox County, That is not even from that main line, so going to be a big concern there as we go into the overnight hours tonight. Let's see. The Weather Service also noting they're going to be adding another flash flood warning right up against the Knoxville one here shortly. So what I'm expecting them to do, they're going to be adding another flash flood warning, and I would anticipate that it's probably going to encompass maybe some of downtown Knoxville. Let's kind of take a look and see if we can determine where I think they're going to place that. So here is the flash flood warning right now. Remember, I use this data to kind of help me determine where I think the flash flood warning should be, and it lines up really great with where the Weather Service has already placed their flash flood warning. If we take a look at rainfall totals over the past 1 hour, the only location here that I think maybe is not getting included but could start to see some heavy rain may include downtown Knoxville. If we look here at the radar as well, it'll give us an idea and see this heavy rain that's developed back near Austin East, downtown Knoxville into Asbury near Alice Bell Elementary. So if I had to guess where they're going to put that secondary flash flood warning, I would expect it's probably going to be in this area. This is the one that we currently have. It goes until 1:30 in the morning. Again, it's for parts of Anderson and Knox counties. And this flash flood warning does have what we call a considerable tag. So essentially, when the Weather Service writes these up, they've got criteria for a flash flood warning. And then if they think the damage from flooding could be extreme, they're going to add that considerable tag. Now, we don't tend to see a lot of these flash flood warnings with this tag. But the reason that we've been dealing with this is, like I showed you earlier, these storms just have barely moved. They've been pounding the same locations. This is a look at our 3-hour radar. Watch what happens here. We'll start it early. Okay, storms kind of fire up over Claxton, and then they just get socked in with heavy, heavy rainfall. Because those storms really have not been moving and the intensity has not come down, we've seen so much heavy rain. That's why they had to go ahead and issue that flash flood warning. Let's check back in on our Embassy Suites camera here to see if we're seeing any lightning on the camera. A few raindrops for sure, definitely a little bit breezy out there. Certainly some lightning in the distance as well. A lot of you as well reporting that you have been dealing with some power outages. You can see that frequent lightning there. Sorry, I'm checking in here with the Weather Service. And we're also watching what's happening in Kentucky as well. They're dealing with those severe thunderstorms. All right, so one thing I want to show you is also our power outages. This is the latest look. We've got about 500 customers without power in Anderson County, over 7,500 customers without power right now in Knox County as well. So these numbers continue to go up all across East Tennessee, and we're going to keep watching that potential for another flash flood warning to be issued here shortly. So the Weather Service saying they're working on that one at this time. And like I said, if I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to include downtown Knoxville and maybe up into the Alice Bell Elementary area, because this is where we've started to develop the heavier rain. Storms not moving all too much, but if they were to drift just a little bit, they would be headed that way because they're kind of pulsing, moving slightly to the east-southeast. What's interesting is we do have these trackers, but I've kind of turned them off because they've been jumping all over the place a little bit. Looks like they're kind of getting a better direction because this storm is almost stationary and we've seen some back building. We've added in some more moisture further off to our north and west. It's kind of hard to track some of these, but if the heavy rain was going to move at all and finally kind of exit that area, which doesn't look like it's going to do at the moment, it would likely be moving into those locations. Looks like the Weather Service just went ahead and issued another one of those flash flood warnings, so let's just wait and see if it will pop up for us. This is for Knox and Anderson County as well. I don't know if they're going to extend the area or if they're going to be putting out another one that goes until later, till 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's see what they're going to do here. Hold on. Okay, so there it is. There's our second one, and as we expected, it does include now downtown Knoxville, and it also now includes Clinton. So this is the secondary flash flood warning that the National Weather Service has issued. It goes until 3 o'clock in the morning now. It includes Anderson and Knox County. So again, here was our initial flash flood warning. Here's the secondary one that they've added. This does include now downtown Knoxville because we've started to see some of that heavy rainfall move into that area. So that is kind of what we're watching now, those two flash flood